In this video, we'll look at captive portal networks in the RUCKUS One network management platform. A captive portal network does more than just facilitate user access to the Internet. Specifically, it gives visitors access to your Internet connection and nothing else, making it a great way to separate network traffic and limit data usage. Among other things, you can use captive portal networks to redirect clients to a website of your choosing and capture client information and demography data, all great for marketing purposes, as well as collect client traffic statistics, which are great for analyzing network performance and planning network modifications. So regardless of the captive portal authentication method that you choose, you'll need to configure a guest portal, also known as a landing page or a welcome page. Portal web page configuration utilizes the RUCKUS One portal service, natively located under the Network Control Services portion of RUCKUS One. The portal service lets you customize the landing page content quickly and easily thanks to the predefined portal design template. But you have complete control over the design components that will appear to your users. And you can preview the portal from the perspective of different authentication methods, as well as different end-user device types. The customizable welcome page presents the various information which the user must interact with before being granted access to the network, such as filling out a form with their information or entering login credentials. And being customizable, the portal can be used as a marketing tool, showing a logo, your company name, marketing text, etc. When it comes to creating a captive portal network, you need to consider the type of authentication you want to use, as this impacts both the security of a network and the user's onboarding experience. So once you're in the Create New Network wizard, selecting Captive Portal presents you with options for user authentication and access, basically ordered from least secure to most secure. So let's take a few minutes to discuss the benefits of each. Click-through is just that. The user needs to read the terms and conditions and acknowledge simply by clicking the Connect to Wi-Fi button. They then have Internet access to any website. You can, however, dictate whether the user is sent directly to the web page they originally requested, or you can redirect them to a different website after they've first connected to the network. You've probably seen this when you've been in a retail store. You've successfully joined their Wi-Fi network and were sent to the store's web page instead of whatever web page you were initially trying to access. Self-sign-in allows users to access the network by registering their contact information to get a personal password via SMS or by using their social media account for authentication. The benefit of social media authentication is the ability to compile additional user information. You will have to create a free app for each social media platform, but the RUCKUS One wizard provides a link to the platform's developer portal, where you'll create an application and obtain the app ID and app secret needed for the network setup. CloudPath Captive Portal lets users connect to the Internet using credentials provided by the local CloudPath AAA Radius server. The user is redirected to the CloudPath enrollment system, where the intuitive self-service wizard steps them through enrollment. NAS and Radius work in tandem to ensure the enrollment request is from a valid source and approve the enrollment request. Upon successful enrollment, the user is asked to download a digital certificate, which is used to authenticate the user and authorize their device for secure network access. A host approval captive portal requires a user to register in the portal, entering their name, mobile number, and the host's email address, then wait for the host approval. Two important aspects to this type of network are, first, the user must know the email address of the host who will approve their network access request. And secondly, for optimal user experience, the network host must be vigilant in managing the access request emails in a timely manner, meaning this type of network is not suitable for high-traffic venues with lots of transient users trying to connect. The host receives email notifying of the user's request to connect, and it contains the user's information, the network name, and any optional messaging that the user entered, as well as active hotlink buttons to approve access for the defined expiration options. After the host approves access, the host is notified that a password has been sent to the user, and the user receives an SMS message containing their unique password. This type of network adds extra security in that a human host must decide whether to grant a specific user access to the network, and the fact that the system generates a random password and sends it to the user. GuestPass lets users authenticate using a password that's already been created by the network administrator. The password can be distributed via SMS or email if specific user contact information is known. Optionally, the network name and password can be printed to a PDF and distributed. Third-party captive portal lets users connect through a third-party portal authenticated by a AAA Radius server. Note that the licensing and subscription may vary for each third-party Whisper provider, and it's not included with the RUCKUS One subscription. For more details, refer to individual provider documents. The onboarding page allows you to configure whether users are redirected after authentication, as well as configuring walled garden addresses. A walled garden is a limited environment to which an unauthenticated user is given access for the purpose of setting up an account. After the account's established, the user is allowed out of the walled garden. Here you can also set advanced network settings. Note that VLAN services and radio settings are covered in the video titled Advanced Settings for a Wi-Fi Network, so we won't repeat that information here. However, there is another group of advanced settings that apply only to captive portal networks. That's the user connection settings. Here you can modify the default settings for the amount of time the user can stay connected, as well as whether or not the user must go through the portal to re-authenticate during a reconnection. Likewise, additional radius options settings available for CloudPath and third-party captive portal networks allow you to fine-tune the Network Access Server, or NAS, connection configuration. The NAS acts as a sentry to the radius server, confirming the authentication request sender is valid, then passing the network authentication request through to the radius server. GuestPass Credentials, as the name implies, is your one-stop interface to all things related to credential usage. Here you'll add guest credentials, either individually or imported from a file. And for your convenience, RUCKUS One also lets you add a GuestPass network directly from here instead of navigating to the Create New Network webpage. This page also provides a list of all credentials that you've created. The default view is all time, but you can narrow that down using the time period button. The list shows when a credential was created and the name and contact information associated with it. Clicking directly on a name opens the guest details sidebar containing extra information. This is especially useful when the status is online. In this case, you can drill down to specific information about the user or users using the GuestPass credential, as well as take action to generate a new password, download the information locally, and disable or delete a guest. For example, deleting guests associated with an expired credential or a network that no longer exists helps to keep your list from becoming unwieldy. Captive portal type, as well as the specific network name, help you filter the list. Note that clicking on any network name takes you to that network's page in the Wi-Fi networks list, where you can view network-level data, metrics, and even modify its configuration. Credential expiration and user status, offline, expired, and online, which can even include the number of devices if more than one is permitted, helps when troubleshooting user complaints regarding credentials that are not working. It's worth mentioning here that RUCKUS One supports several administrative role-based access groups, one of which is Guest Manager. Administrators assigned the Guest Manager role can create and modify guest passes. And that brings us to the end of this video on captive portal networks in the RUCKUS One network management platform.